This Friday, the Euros will commence in Germany. And if you've seen my most recent video, you will know that I think England may win the tournament if they can get their starting 11 perfect. But one of the inclusions that England need to have in their team is Declan Rice at holding midfield. A player who is undoubtedly world class, and although he was born and raised in England, he almost never played for the England national team. The reason behind this is Rice being included in the Irish national team. He was eligible for this due to his grandparents being Irish. Rice went on to represent Ireland at the U17, U19, and U21 levels. And ultimately, he made his way up into the senior team, making 3 appearances for the Irish national team. Now, many of you may wonder, if he represented the Irish national team at a senior level, how would he then be able to switch and go and play for England? And the reason behind this was Declan Rice only made 3 appearances in friendlies. He never competed at major tournaments or major games for Ireland. Now, this was kind of a loophole in the system, and many Irish fans specifically were upset about this, and they felt betrayed by Declan Rice switching up on them. Many fans criticized Declan Rice because they felt as though he used Ireland as a stepping stone to establish himself at the international scale, and then when he had the opportunity, he then went on to represent England once he was more of a reputable player in world football. Now, this is a very common thing in world football, and a lot of people have differing opinions on it, but it is very, very common. It actually occurred with another English star, Jack Grealish, who represented Ireland prior to competing with England at the senior level. The difference is, Jack Grealish never made any senior caps for Ireland, so I guess it's a little less controversial that he would then switch up by the time he was eligible to make senior appearances. The Declan Rice situation is also more controversial because he was a lot more vocal about his pride in representing Ireland at the international stage. Even, I believe, in an under-21 game, he went and kissed the badge when he was celebrating a last-minute goal. But a lot of other people have come to Declan Rice's defense in him choosing to represent England, basically stating that this is a rule that is in place, he didn't break any rules, and he is obviously a guy who was born and raised in England, so if the opportunity was to come, he would want to represent his own country. Seems pretty logical. But I do think it brings up the question as to whether or not these rules for representing countries have a proper morality in football. A lot of people question as to whether or not you should be allowed to play for a country just because your grandfather or grandmother lived there. Yes, obviously, the rules put you eligible, but is it really moral for you to represent a country that isn't your own? Because use these 2 nations as examples. England are currently the favorites to win the Euros, and Ireland didn't even manage to qualify for the Euros. And the pool of talent that's coming out of England is huge. It's probably one of the biggest in world football currently, and therefore it makes the entry into getting into the England national team that much more competitive. So if you look at guys like Grealish or Rice, obviously earlier in their careers, there was probably a little concern that if they declared for England, they wouldn't be able to compete at the national team level due to just the sheer volume of competition that you're going to get with other guys that you're going to be fighting for spots for. I mean, look at the England team for the Euros this summer. Jack Grealish didn't even make the team. But I do think that if you're an Irish fan, you're probably looking at these guys and being like, well, let's be real. You kinda used our team because you didn't think that you would be able to make the English team, and then when it became apparent that you actually had a chance to do so, you turned your back on us. But to play devil's advocate, I do think that if they weren't actually from England, if they weren't born and raised there, it would be a lot more malicious because they were, turning their back on their home country. Whereas in this case, I think that they probably in their head thought, I'm not going to make the English national team, so why not go represent a country that my family has roots in? And, unfortunately, later down the road in their career, they had an opportunity to play for their home country, and ultimately, they decided to do so. But I'm not going to lie, Declan Rice kissing the Irish badge and then deciding to play for England later, That's pretty crazy. If you know the history of those two countries, you can't really be upset that Irish people aren't very fond of you. But please, leave a comment down below letting me know your opinions on this topic matter. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and click that little notification bell so you know every time I make a new video. Finally, if you're not following me on Twitter, get right on that. I put my username right here on the screen, and my link is down below in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for any and all support I could be given, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.